Stephanie White was absolutely livid after what happened to the Indiana Fever last night. She called out the referees in front of everyone, saying what we've all been thinking. The Fever lost by just 2 points to the Liberty, but here's the thing. They were robbed. A -31 free throw discrepancy over recent games. A blatant no call on Caitlin Clark in the final seconds that could have tied the game. White didn't hold back, questioning whether the WNBA system even works anymore. In this video, we'll share the highlights, the replays, and all the receipts against these WNBA referees. Picture this. The Fever going toe-to-toe with the defending champions, trading baskets like heavyweight fighters. Aaliyah Boston was absolutely unstoppable, dropping 27 points and grabbing 13 rebounds. Lexi Hall stepped up huge in her first start of the season, putting up 15 points when her team needed her most. This was championship-level basketball from Indiana, but something felt off from the opening tip. The whistles weren't coming when they should have. Every time the Fever drove to the basket, they met contact. Hard contact. The kind that should send players to the free throw line. But the refs kept their whistles silent for Indiana, while the Liberty got call after call. The numbers don't lie. New York got to the free throw line 32 times. The Fever? Only 15 attempts. That's more than double the free throws for the Liberty. In a game decided by 2 points, that disparity is absolutely massive. You can't win games when the other team gets twice as many chances from the charity stripe. Here's what really showed the Fever's potential. They outscored the Liberty by 17 points in the third quarter. 17 points advantage against the defending champions. That's complete domination. The Fever proved they could hang with the best team in the league when given a fair chance. Caitlin Clark was fighting through everything they threw at her. Double teams, physical play, constant pressure. She still managed 18 points and 10 assists. Every drive to the basket met with contact, but those refs kept their whistles in their pockets when Clark got fouled. Meanwhile, the Liberty players were getting calls on much lighter contact. The Fever actually led by 12 points in the fourth quarter. They had this game won until the officiating took over. The Liberty mounted their comeback not just through great basketball, but through a series of favorable calls that shifted the momentum completely. Jonquel Jones scored 14 points in that final quarter for New York. She was aggressive, attacking the rim, and getting the calls that the Fever players weren't getting on the other end. The contrast was obvious to everyone watching. Our third quarter was really good, obviously. We won the quarter by 17 points. That's what put us in a position to have a chance to win. So essentially, we really played one good quarter of basketball and lost to the defending champions by 2. So I guess that's positive. A lot of ways to continue to get better. This wasn't about basketball skills anymore. The Fever had proven they could outplay the Liberty. This became about getting a fair shot from the officials. The stage was set for heartbreak, with Indiana playing championship-level basketball, but fighting an uphill battle against biased officiating. Every possession mattered, every call mattered, and the refs were about to decide this game in the final seconds in the most controversial way possible. Here's where everything fell apart, and you're going to see exactly how the refs stole this game from the Indiana Fever. Down by 2 points with 2.9 seconds left on the clock, Caitlin Clark gets the ball for what should have been the moment that tied the game. This was it. This was their chance. Clark catches the ball up top with everything on the line. Natasha Cloud makes clear contact with Clark several times, before, during, and after the play. You can see it on the replay. The contact is obvious. It's the kind of foul that gets called 100 times during any normal game, but the whistle never comes. Complete silence from the officials. They just let it go. The replay shows obvious contact that should have sent Clark to the free throw line for 2 shots. 2 free throws that could have tied the game and sent it to overtime. Instead of getting that chance, the Fever watched their season record drop to 2 wins, 2 losses. Clark gets fouled, no call, game over. That's how their season changes in the worst possible way. But that wasn't the only controversial call in those final moments. 2 plays before that no call on Clark, the refs missed a clear foul on DeWanna Bonner. She had a wide-open layup and got hacked hard. She missed the shot because of the contact. No whistle, no call. The Fever lose another scoring opportunity that would have put the Fever up 2. Right after that missed call, Lexi Hall gets whistled for a phantom foul on Sabrina Ionescu. Hall was in perfect legal guarding position. She wasn't reaching, she wasn't grabbing. She was playing textbook defense. Yet the refs called it anyway. The contact was minimal at best, but somehow that gets a whistle when Bonner getting hammered doesn't. Those free throws from Ionescu became the game-winning points that shouldn't have existed. She makes both shots and puts the Liberty ahead. Points that came from a call that never should have happened. Meanwhile, the Fever are getting no calls on much more obvious contact on the other end. And this is the worst one. There's one foul. There's two fouls. Then she holds her, watch this, with her shoulder and on her arm when she follows through and then fouls her for the fourth time on her arm. It's cheating. It's plain as day. The haters will say she got locked up. Yeah, if you're fouling the whole game. But I'm going to this entire game. The corrupt refs gave this game to New York and they still barely won. 3 crucial calls in the final moments. All 3 going against the Fever. All 3 changing the outcome of this game. First, no call on the Bonner foul that could have given Indiana the lead. Then, a phantom call on Hull that gives the Liberty free throws and the lead. Finally, no call on Clark's drive that could have tied it. This is the evidence everyone's talking about. Clear bias that cost Indiana the game. You can't have this level of inconsistent officiating in the final seconds of a close game. The Fever earned the right to have this game decided by basketball, not by refs who kept their whistles in their pockets when Indiana needed calls most. I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one, going to the rim. They're in rotation. DB's was crazy. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path. It is what it is. We have to be able to play through it. But at the same time, I feel like it's really disrespectful. You've never seen a coach this angry, and Stephanie White had every right to be furious after what happened to her team. White walks into that press conference knowing her team got robbed, and she's not staying quiet about it. The raw emotion on her face told the whole story before she even opened her mouth. She drops the bombshell that everyone needed to hear. A -31 free throw discrepancy over the last few games. 31 fewer free throw attempts than their opponents. White makes it clear this isn't just about one bad call. This is about a pattern of officiating that's been going against the Fever for weeks. White calls the no call on Clark in those final seconds exactly what it was. She said, "I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. Pretty egregious." That's coach speak for absolutely ridiculous. White doesn't throw around words like that unless something is seriously wrong with how the games are being called. I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A -31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes. But we're not. We're attacking the rim. But here's where White really goes after the WNBA system. She directly challenges the league's grievance process, saying, there's a system to making sure that we can send stuff in and communicate our grievances, so to speak. I don't know that I ever feel like the system works. She's basically saying the league doesn't care when teams complain about bad officiating. The system is broken. This isn't just frustration talking. This is a coach protecting her players from systematic unfair treatment. White specifically mentions how aggressive her team has been attacking the rim. She said, we're attacking the rim, pointing out that the Fever should be getting more calls, not fewer. They're playing the kind of basketball that usually draws fouls, but the refs aren't calling them. White's raw emotion shows how deep this problem runs. This isn't about one game anymore. This is about respect. Her team isn't getting the respect they deserve from officials. The Fever are fighting an uphill battle every single night because the refs treat them differently than other teams. White's courage to speak out publicly reveals the pattern of bias the Fever has been facing all season. Most coaches stay quiet about officiating because they're afraid of getting fined. White doesn't care about the consequences. She's going to protect her players and call out the league when necessary. This press conference will be remembered as the moment someone finally said what needed to be said. White put the WNBA on notice. The officiating bias against the Fever has to stop. Her team deserves better, Caitlin Clark deserves better, and the fans watching deserve games decided by basketball, not by refs who keep their whistle silent when Indiana gets fouled. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. This heartbreak might be exactly what the Fever needed to become a championship team. Clark herself said, we are 2 possessions from being 4-0 after the loss. Think about that for a second. 2 possessions. That's how close this team is to being undefeated right now. Yeah, and that's probably what's frustrating about it too. It's like, we are 2 possessions from being 4-0, but there were so many little areas in this game that we could have improved. Like our defense again to start the game was poor. and we got to find a way to come out with more energy, be able to guard. And yes, they present a very tough challenge when all 5 of them can make threes, and they're setting inverted ball screens, things like that. It's a challenge, but you got to find a way to do it. The adversity is happening early in the season when there's actually time to learn and grow from it. Clark knows the team is still figuring things out. She said, "Feels like every game, we've really only put 2 quarters together." That's the kind of honest assessment that shows this team understands what they need to work on. Consistency is definitely where we can be a lot better. Feels like every game we've really only put 2 quarters together. We're kind of waiting for that, 4 quarters of really good basketball, and I think that's it's going to be a learning curve. This group is there. We haven't played a ton together, so, but that's what's going to have to happen if we want to beat the really good teams in this league, is you got to find a way to put together 4 really good quarters. There's going to be runs. That's basketball. They're going to go on their runs. We got to be able to find a way to stop them and then respond. So I think that's an area we can certainly improve in. Aaliyah Boston's dominant performance proves this team has multiple weapons beyond Clark. 27 points and 13 rebounds against the defending champions. That's not just good, that's elite-level basketball. Boston showed she can carry the scoring load when Clark has an off night. Championship teams need that kind of depth. I think for us, we just have to make sure that we're playing consistent throughout the whole game. It's pretty easy to just say that not getting over the hump in that 4th quarter, but I think our start, in that 2nd quarter, they outscored us by a bit, so we have to make sure that our start is better, so that when we do get to the 4th quarter, it doesn't have to be this close. But it was competitive basketball. We got ourselves in a hole to start. We got back in it, tied the game up. Sometimes the ball just doesn't roll your way, but I think if we prioritize the way we start, it's going to be better for us in that 4th quarter. Lexi Hull stepping up in her first start shows the depth that championship teams absolutely need. 15 points from a player making her first start of the season. Hull proved she belongs in the starting lineup and gave Stephanie White another weapon to use. When players can step up like that, it makes the entire team better. Even with Clark's shooting struggles, the team stayed competitive against the defending champs. The Fever led by 12 points in the 4th quarter. They outscored New York by 17 points in the 3rd quarter. This team can beat anyone when they put it together for 4 quarters. This early season fire is creating a team that won't back down from anyone or anything. Getting robbed by the refs in a close game builds character. It creates mental toughness. The Fever now know they can compete with the best team in the league, even when everything goes against them. The controversy is uniting fans and creating an us-against-the-world mentality that championship teams feed off. When everyone feels like the league is working against you, it brings the team together. Players fight harder for each other. Coaches get more protective. Fans get louder and more supportive. Every championship team faces adversity during their journey. The Fever are getting theirs out of the way early in the season instead of waiting for the playoffs. They're learning how to handle pressure situations. They're learning how to respond when calls don't go their way. By the time playoffs arrive, this team will be battle-tested and ready for anything the league throws at them. These early games are teaching them lessons that matter when championships are on the line. We'll have a couple of days to get some work in practice, and we'll use that as an opportunity to look at some of those things. We've got to continue to do what got us here. We had to move the ball. We've got to hit singles, not make home run plays. We have a tendency to try to make the home run play all the time, the dagger or the play that gets the momentum going, and it doesn't need to be that way. We can make the easy plays. So those were more the communications, keeping our intensity level, on both ends of the floor. You can't relax. The margin for error when you're talking about playing championship caliber teams is so small. The refs can try to stop them, but they can't stop what's coming for the Indiana Fever. This team is building something special, and no amount of biased officiating will hold them back. You saw what happened when they got angry. You saw Aaliyah Boston dominate. You saw Lexi Hull step up. You saw Caitlin Clark fight through everything they threw at her. In the previous game against Atlanta, you saw the amazing contributions of Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, and even Damiris Dantas. The controversy has created a unity between fans and players that championship teams need. Every bad call makes them stronger. Every missed whistle makes them hungrier. Get ready for 2025. The Fever are about to show everyone what happens when you fuel a fire.